Deep in the middle of a forest, there was a hidden little cottage where a grumpy old widow lived. She had 2 daughters. The elder daughter, Fanny, was ill-tempered and arrogant just like her mother, and so she was her mother's favorite. The younger daughter, Rose, was kind-hearted and beautiful, just like her late father. Because of this, she suffered greatly at the hands of her cruel mother. One day, the mother ordered Rose to go into the forest and fetch water from the well. Without hesitation, Rose picked up a bucket and made her way into the woods. When she reached the well, she leaned over and began filling the bucket. Cool water splashed onto her hands. She didn't realize that an old woman was quietly watching her from nearby. Clearing her throat, the old woman said, "Listen, girl, I am very thirsty. Could you give me some water?" Startled, Rose turned to look at her. The woman appeared frail, but her eyes held a strange and powerful sparkle. Rose remembered her mother was waiting, and that she'd be punished if she was late. But her kind heart wouldn't allow her to leave the thirsty woman without help. "Of course," Rose said gently, smiling. She filled a jug and handed it to the woman. The old woman drank deeply and gratefully. Then she looked at Rose and smiled. "My dear child," she said, "I will reward your kindness with a blessing. From now on, every time you speak, precious jewels will fall from your mouth." And with that, the mysterious woman walked away. Rose was surprised, but she didn't think too much of it. She refilled her bucket and began her journey home. By the time she arrived, it was quite late. "Why did you take so long? I've been waiting forever," her mother snapped. Nervously, Rose began to explain, and as soon as she opened her mouth, dazzling jewels, diamonds, rubies, and sapphires fell from her lips. Her mother's eyes widened in disbelief. Her anger disappeared in an instant, replaced by pure greed. "Fanny must get this gift too," she exclaimed. She handed a jug to her eldest daughter and said, "Go to the well in the forest. If you see the same old woman, be kind to her." Fanny nodded, but there was no kindness in her heart, only selfish desire. When she reached the well, she filled her jug quickly, anxious to return and get her reward. Suddenly, the same old woman appeared again, her sparkling eyes just as mysterious. "My child, I am very thirsty. Could you give me some water?" she asked weakly. Fanny rolled her eyes in annoyance. "If you're thirsty, get it yourself. I don't have time to serve you," she snapped, snatching her jug and walking away. The old woman's face darkened with anger. "You arrogant girl! For your rudeness, I curse you. From now on, every time you speak, hideous toads shall fall from your mouth." You see, this was no ordinary old woman. She was a fairy in disguise, sent to test people's hearts. Fanny returned home. Her mother rushed to meet her. "Where have you been? What happened?" she asked eagerly. Fanny opened her mouth to speak, but instead of words, repulsive toads tumbled out and hopped all around the house. The mother screamed in horror. "What nightmare is this? This is Rose's fault!" she shrieked. Consumed by rage and jealousy, she turned on Rose. "Get out of my house! I don't want you here anymore." Heartbroken and confused, Rose left the cottage with tears in her eyes. She wandered alone through the forest, unsure of where to go. As the golden evening light filtered through the trees, a rider approached on horseback. It was a handsome prince, with kind eyes and a noble heart. "Why are you alone in the forest?" he asked gently, dismounting his horse. Rose began to tell him her story, and as she spoke, radiant jewels fell from her mouth, glittering in the fading sunlight. The prince watched in amazement. A girl so kind, so beautiful, and whose words became precious gems. He was enchanted. "Come with me to the palace," he said with warmth. I cannot let someone like you be lost in the world." Rose smiled and nodded, and the prince took her back to his grand palace. Before long, they were married in a magnificent celebration, and from that day forward, Rose and the prince lived happily ever after.